Inspire, motivate, challenge.
So like I was saying, experience from community, I knew I was not wired to run a community pharmacy. I mean, I had worked there, coupled with the fact that from the DU experience to the JK experience, but I saw amazing opportunities in community pharmacy. I saw what people could do better. And so while in JK, which I said was one of my best opportunities, I worked with Mr. Jimmy Agbaje, who gave me, some latitude to express myself. And we did some very interesting things then, both in the Ikeja and Apapa branch. And so that's what led to some of the things I'm doing currently right now. But the eureka moment for me was when I worked with Reels Pharmaceuticals. Then they were marketing AstraZeneca products. So I was working directly with the AstraZeneca team. It was a wonderful experience. Then through PAN's activities, because I was Secretary of PAN's in Unilag, I had met the founder, Pharmacist Adepopola. I had met the then area sales manager for Lagos, Mr. Patrick Aja, who incidentally is now the managing director of Me and Baker. And so when the IT thing started and we're told to go and look for where to do IT, I just rang Mr. Kukwala up and said, look, this is whatever, and I want to do my IT with you. And he said, no problem, come over. I got to his office that day, and then they called Mr. Patrick Aja and says, because it was new, IT was a new concept at the time. Yeah. He just said, Patrick, take this boy and do whatever you want to do with him. And so Mr. Patrick, yes, they did. And there was something very interesting about the pay. They paid at the time. Because the structure didn't exist. So they didn't know what to pay me. And so they just told me, okay, go and find out how much they pay for this thing you want to do. And so I asked everybody around, I beg, guys, how much are they paying you people? And then I picked the highest that I had, and I told them this is what they paid. They said, no problem, they paid. And I mean, some of the friendships I had from Reels, I still have up to date, because it was just So one of the major things I learned from that experience was, number one, I was going to do marketing after school. Not only marketing, I was going to be marketing premium products. Because anybody can sell cheap and cheerful products, but for you to market premium products, you have to know what you are doing. You have to have that confidence and all. So it was clear. And probably that's what, following the Pfizer experience I had, which I'll talk about later, that's what then led to the brands we now pushed into the market, the Moxie brand, which is also premium. Because I think personally, I just can't play at the bottom of the pyramid. People, even though we seem to be living in so a few people choose to believe that there's poverty in the land, people can't afford and all that, But it's been proven that the population of middle to upper class people Nigerians we have is more than some countries,
yeah.
So hey, let me look for those people and target them. That's been my...
Yeah, I remember I remember going for, talking to maybe some foreigners, expatriates, and they always talk about the fact that Switzerland has 6 million people.
Yeah.
And their turnovers for most companies more than...
Exactly, So let's go for that 6 million people and then give them the best they could, And that's what's been driving some of the things we've been doing, So so after Reels, went back to school. Even when I got back to school, I couldn't leave the marketing thing. I just kept moving in and out and all that, So after the internship, went for NYSC in Owerri. I was posted to a primary health center that didn't need me. Okay. I won't say didn't need me, but the scenario that was on ground, I wasn't gonna play in it. How do I mean? Okay, so there was a health center, and there was no doctor on ground. Okay. I was supposed to be the pharmacist on ground. They wanted to give me accommodation, as in, bottom line, I was supposed to be the doctor in charge, doing surgeries and all those things. I said, go. I said, not me. So one of the coppers, that left before me, that's copper doctors, they now employed him to manage a number of the health centers in the local government. So I was only required to come to work when he was consulting. So he sits, I sit. Most of them didn't have drugs. So I was working once in 2 weeks, and I wasn't wired to be that lazy, because so eventually what I then came back to Lagos. Before I went, I reached out to one of, like I said before, I was pan-section. I reached out to one of the companies that supported us, who incidentally is a family friend. That's Kakaki Chemists, pharmacist Otuadiemi. And at the time he was marketing, it was Cox Generics that evolved into Alpharma, and today is, there's a new, I'm not sure whether Alpharma is their latest name or something, but so they're into generics, just like we have Teva, they're contemporaries of Teva and all that,
Okay.
Yeah. So I reached out to him. He was also marketing Medrich products, and he had Elon multivitamin. So I just reached out to him and said, look, I'm going to Owerri. I may be able to market your products in Owerri, but let me go first and survey the ground, and I'll get back to you. I can't say this on camera, but I sometimes use if I were going to talk to you, Mayowa, I would have said you're stupid enough to believe me. But I believe my story. So I went to Owerri. When I saw what was on ground, I reached out to a Pfizer colleague who had come to speak to us in camp. His name was Wale Amodu. And I told him, look, this is what I want to do in town. Just point me in the right direction. And indeed, he did point me in the right direction, who I should be dealing with. And so, very interesting scenario. I went round. Did I go round or did he take me around? I think I went round, based on the guidance he gave me. And at the time, this was 2004, I think I was able to pull up orders of close to ₦1 million. From just walking up and down, telling people, hey, I'm from this is my price list. They'd given me a price list from Lagos, this. And they placed orders. And I sent the orders to Lagos. And my shipment came. Of course, I didn't have a car, I didn't have anything, I chose to do that because I wanted to understand marketing the jungle way.
Yeah.
And so, an interesting thing then happened. When they sent the goods, there was no invoice booklet in the shipment. But guess what? I sold everything, collected all the money without an invoice. I just noted what I supplied down. When the invoice came, I went back to the invoice and all that. And that was how that 1 year experience started. The next thing I saw, I think when I sent my next order, the man just sent a truck from Lagos. Plus what I needed, plus I just said, look. And that's how I just, as a copper, created a depot in Owerri, in Port Harcourt, and in Aba. And I was crisscrossing for the 1 year period, crisscrossing the whole terrain, It got to a point, he said, should I send you a car? I said, don't send me a car. I wanted to do it the rough way. In my mind, I was telling myself, once I can crack this code, then in the future, nobody can tell me stories about anything about these things. And it was a good experience. I was practically living as a big boy copper because the local government I think I was about the second best paid copper for working once in 2 weeks at the time. The company was paying me some stipend to move around. I had liberty to sell and make money, and so it was just, with return, I was just living the life at the time, life at that time. And then in the course of NYSC, then the question now started coming up, okay, what next after NYSC? I believe I'm still going to do farming sometime later, but in my mind, I was okay, fine, farming and all that. Okay, farmer, I'll still do 1 or 2 things. Okay, should I mention names here? Okay, so as part of the preparing for life after service, I got a call from, okay, we applied for, well, Supply Evans was recruiting. I said, okay, no problem. I applied. We came to Lagos for the interview. At the time, there's a Gafar, what's her name now? Is in Evans. We were serving together in Owerri. He's now the national sales manager. We came in together we flew into Lagos together for the interview and all that, So we did the interview, and I think it was the same day. The results came out, or maybe next day. So I can't remember it's how many years now. And then we were scheduled so we passed the test. They cut off a number of people after the first stage. They went for the second stage interview. And the rumor mill because I later heard, they said I came first at the interview. And of course, I got the job offer. But there was a problem. They wanted me to stay in Owerri. And I said, hell no, I'm not staying in this town. Okay. I'm gone. And they said, I said, sorry, I'm gone. I'm going back to Lagos, I think Gafar took the offer then, and then later, came back to Lagos to become sales manager, and then now he's national sales manager. But I said no. And so imagine turning down a job offer when you didn't have any other offer on the table. And so when my time was up, I packed my bags, moved to Lagos, no job. And I felt, okay, fine, until I figure out what I want to do. Let me further brush up my farming story. So I did some research, went around Lagos, went as far as there's this cattle market opposite Lasso, or in that Lasso area. I went there to do market research. I went to a pod, just trying to, what can I do in the agricultural space? So I think I just came back home. Okay, in the process, and for me, relationships are super important. Yeah. It's more important than money. That's one thing I live by. So in the course of serving in Owerri, I had heard that okay, so the man I spoke about that is now MD of May and Baker, that's Patrick Aja, who was area sales manager in Reels. I think after that he had moved to Guinness. Okay. Then I think after Guinness, while I was in Owerri, I heard he had moved to Pfizer. Okay. As the sales director. And so I just called him and said, Oga Patrick, congrats to this, and then that was just it. Just touch base. So I came back to Lagos after my farming expedition. I remember vividly, I was sitting on my dining table trying to put the result of my research together. And I get a call, and it's Mr. Patrick. I said, hey, young man, how are you? I said, fine, sir. What are you doing now? I said, I just went to do some agri. It's okay. So after I said, finish service. So what are you doing? I said, well, I'm okay. So can you come and see me? And I was okay. I said, okay, sir. Maybe in about 2 or 3. He said, are you okay? See me tomorrow. I said, yes, sir. And so I went there with this project. You're not serious. This is your career. I said, I'm not but so at the time they were recruiting for reps and all that. So I put in my application. Of course, I went through the rigorous. Okay, so one thing again. Pfizer was the last place I wanted to work. Why? Prior to that time, for you to come into Pfizer, you will do a very tough exam. Like school exam, because they always wanted the best people, do your pharmacology, pharm chem, all those ones. And I was like, me, after managing to finish pharmacy school, I'll now go back and read. I said, God forbid, I'm not doing. So when they called for the interview, I was like, I'm not interested in all this academic. But interestingly, at the time, there was a change in management at that time and all that. So the interview process had been reworked, and that horrendous part had been taken out. So I went through the 3, 4, 5 stage. I can't remember how many stage processes. But bottom line, I was taken. And when I was asked, interestingly, being a Lagos boy, I would have wanted to stay in Lagos. I told him, I said, no, in Lagos, no. I said, take me to Ibadan. or the West, somewhere, because I needed to prove it. Now I had done marketing the jungle way. And for me, the objective was let me do the marketing the scientific way. And that was why I said, take me to Ibadan, where in no man's land. Let me go and suffer there. And I was lucky I got, as part of the interview, where can you work, where they noted it down. And then I was taken to Ibadan to be the Pfizer rep on ground there. And that was when my career post-NYSC then started. Had a jolly time in Ibadan. I used to say then that if a company is not happy with any rep, just send them to Ibadan. Because it looked all like punishment, Ibadan, you have UCH and all the place. Yeah. I usually tell people that the work the Ibadan rep does is not for the West. It's a national assignment. Because people will come into UCH for training, blah, 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 and then they go back to where they came from, which is typical of most teaching hospitals anyway. But I mean, for me, it's about Ibadan. I knew and all that, because before you know it, this guy who you've been nurturing and everything, he has passed his primaries, his consultant, he has gone back to Gombe. Something. So you don't tell the Gombe rep, I mean, one of my guys is with you. Take advantage of all the work, and all that. So, Ibadan, the work, it ran very fast. I met some fantastic people while working in Ibadan. I mean, Abiola Adekunle Kunara Pharmacy, I was practically under his tutelage. Farm Ramon, Good Old Pharmacy, Then he was primarily in Oyo, But then these were people who were committed to my development, so to speak, and they were ready to support any initiative I had to run. Fumac, fantastic people I worked with in that axis.